Everybody, good to see you. Just wanted to open the committee. So yes, welcome to the August 26 committee meetings of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise that Council is now web streaming its standing committees and council meetings live to the internet, and as such, all those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Your attendance at this meeting is your acceptance of the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the August 2026 Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee meeting, the time being 5:30 p.m. Councillor Toynton, did you wish? You have? You want to do it now then? Yep. All right, thank you. Councillor Toynton will bring the acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before this meeting starts, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we meet on tonight, being the Wiradjuri people. I'd like to pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging, as we acknowledge the oldest continuous culture on earth and pay our respects to that culture and for everyone present here tonight, as well as those watching online. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Toynton. 1.1.2, leave of absence. I have a request for leave of absence from Councillor Dickerson. Moved by Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Wright. Could governance please open the voting? And carried unanimously. (1.1.3) we have now a presentation for the Excellence and Innovation Award, and I will now hand over to the Mayor, Councillor Black, for the next item. Thank you, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Chair. In a moment, I'll call forward Mr. Harry Brennan, the Manager of the Dubbo Regional Livestock Markets, to accept the award for Excellence and Innovation. This prestigious award was presented at the 2026 Saleyards Australia Awards during the AgriNous National Saleyards Conference held recently in Rockhampton. The Dubbo Saleyards continues to set a benchmark for modern saleyard operations through its significant investment in animal welfare, workplace safety, innovation and industry leadership. Congratulations to the Saleyards and their team on this outstanding achievement and well-deserved recognition. Initiatives such as the installation of shade structures, rubber matting, enhanced lighting, dedicated animal welfare monitoring systems and ongoing staff training demonstrate a strong commitment to best practice livestock handling and continuous improvement. The Dubbo Saleyards are also delivering exceptional value to the agriculture sector and the wider community. Recent achievements include a record cattle yarding of more than 11,500 head, the implementation of lean management practices to improve productivity, plans for a new admin and community facility, and the growth of the social media audience to more than 13,000 followers and very, very entertaining video clips. Reels. The Dubbo Saleyards continues to support local charities, agricultural shows, youth programs and educational initiatives while generating significant economic benefits for the Dubbo region. These accomplishments reflect the dedication and collaboration of the council team, livestock agents, producers and industry stakeholders who work together to ensure the Dubbo Saleyards remain one of Australia's leading regional livestock selling centres. Please join me in congratulating the Saleyards team and all those involved in this achievement, and I ask Mr. Harry Brennan to come to the front for the award presentation. Thank you.
All right. So then back on to it. Thank you, Mayor Black, and congratulations to the staff and team. 1.2, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? There being none, we'll move along. 1.3, matters considered by the committees. 1.4.1, public exhibition results, 2026 to 28 water supply and sewage customer service plan. The next item is 1.4.1. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business paper? Councillor Toynton, seconded by Councillor Cowley. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further debate, councillors? There being none, could governance please open the voting? Carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda is 1.4.2, the development activity summary. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business paper? Councillor Ivey, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey is a move of the motion. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Just a question, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, the league table, we seem to be doing, I just can't find it for the moment, but we seem to be doing exceptionally well. A question through you, Mr. Chair. Do we expect that to be maintained? I mean, I noticed Dubbo has 47 average assessment days for an approval, whereas Tamworth, for instance, has more than double that, 96 days for an assessment approval, and yet Dubbo's total development cost that we've gone through is nearly $300 million, just a fraction behind that of Tamworth. Through you, Mr. Chair, do we expect to be able to maintain that excellent result?
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. To the General Manager.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Development and Environment.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Councillor Ivey, for the question. Yep, you're right. So 47 days. That was for June there, and yep, the team have done a good job in obviously the annual result there. 583 development applications which have been assessed. I think we were 10 shy of the financial year before, from my memory. In respect to residential applications, the 422, so the 4 bedrooms, the 2 living areas, the 2 garages, were another 50 in the last financial year than what we were the year before as well. Excuse me. In respect of assessment days, it is a hard thing to maintain, obviously. I can tell you now that the next results coming out, which come out 2 or 3 days ago, which will be in next month's report, we're at 50 days. But I will tell you that the team did approve 76 development applications in July, which is huge when you think how many days are in July. So they're getting through a power of work. Also there, you would have seen as well that, and then even in today's Liberal, talking around a couple of the service stations, which have moved on as well in terms of approval. So one of those was from 2024 DA, which obviously does hurt the figures, but it was not an easy application to get out the door. So that was very much when you have Transport for New South Wales and highways and those types of things involved, they do take a lot of time. But I could say one thing, Council, is that, yeah, the team are very dedicated to getting things in and out and quality outcomes as well for Dubbo and the region.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Councillor Chowdhury has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question through you, like a page 6 and 7, the table we got getting, that proposed planning. It's same, like we got the similar table like last meeting. So is that we getting every time like older information, or are we getting the new information in future? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. To you, General Manager.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Development and Environment.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Councillor Chowdhury, just to, so is that section C of the report? So just the DAs that are under consideration at the moment, that table? Yep, got some nods. Awesome. So, no, in terms of that table, it does have some change in it, most definitely. Excuse me. But I'll talk around a couple that sit right at the top of that table, which have been here since 2023. So the 90-lot residential subdivision there, that's Delroy West, and basically a western expansion of Delroy West up there. We've been working through with the applicant some complexities around where the Western Distributor Road basically adjoins that actual subdivision area. So we are coming sort of to the sharp end of that assessment process, given that we now have some clear direction on where the Western Distributor is, how much land we need to deliver that in the future. So that won't be that far away. In respect to the next one down, the 203-lot residential subdivision, we had some good news 2 days ago. The state government signed off on the concurrence roll for that application. So because it's in an urban release area, it needs the state government to sign off. So it will be coming to you at the committee meeting in September. Excuse me, for final approval for that development application there as well. So, yeah, there is a fair bit of movement happening with what's in that table, and you'll see right at the end of the table there is quite a large development there, which has joined us right at the end, which is the residential care facility for Maranatha in Wellington there as well. So, but yeah, plenty happening in the region, but yeah, be rest assured, Councillor Chowdhury, yeah, there's definitely some movement there, and that's why that table's there with some of those bigger applications and more media applications as well.
Councillors, any further questions or comment, debate? No? Oh, perhaps I might just ask a quick question then. With the developments, the council is generally the delegated authority up to $30 million, as far as I understand. You've probably told me this again, but forgive me if I've asked it twice. The solar farm and battery storage for $8 million is under Western Regional Planning Panel. Was there a specific reason that that's under there and not us, given that it's under 30 million? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Development and Environment.
Thank you, General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the question. In respect of renewable energy developments which aren't state significant, there is a state policy which basically dictates what developments are to be, where councils are considered authority and where the Western Region Planning Panel is the consent authority for basically solar farms and renewable energy developments. It doesn't have the same threshold as a normal development. So, but that's a state policy setting, definitely not a local policy setting.
Thank you for that. Just another question, if I may, and be indulged. The one that says the place of public worship just above it in Tamworth Street, is that what group is that, if I may ask?
Thank you,
Through
Chair,
thank
and
you.
through you to the Director of Development and Environment.
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the place of public worship, 71A Tamworth Street, that is for alterations and additions to the existing mosque up there on the corner of Tamworth and Fitzroy Street. It's been on public exhibition. That application has changed. It did have 5 accommodation units included in it. They've been taken out. And this application is for demolition of the Western building and a reconstruction of that building. Basically for function type rooms there, which are attached to that mosque use.
Oh, thank you for that information. All right. I'm assuming there's no further debates or questions. No, if that being the case, could governance please open the voting? I declare that carried unanimously. The next item is 1.4.3. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business paper, the Scabbing Flat Bridge update? Thank you, Councillor Ivey. You'd like to move that?
Mr. Chair, just a question. What I'd like to do, if I could, is just foreshadow a slight amendment to that.
To the General Manager, would you? Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to just speak to that now?
Need someone to
All right. Apparently we need someone to move it first. Is that to move the amendment, I'm guessing? Is that
move the motion and then we debate an amendment.
okay? All right. Yep, that sounds right. So we need to move the motion. So Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to move the motion? Yep. And seconded by Councillor Black. All right, thank you. And so Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion? Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr.
All right.
Sorry, Chair.
Thank you. And Councillor Ivey would like to move the amendment at this point.
Could I? Yes, move an amendment. Could two? I'll just read out what I'd like two to be, and then speak to that. The two to be replaced with, in particular, the information provided in relation to item 4 be collated in a format that would be useful to the Scabbing Flat Bridge community and council to continue to advocate to Transport for New South Wales and other relevant bodies for the Scabbing Flat Bridge replacement as opportunities arise. So it's replacing 2 and 3 with that. Could I speak to that? I don't have it typed. I'm sorry. I can read it again.
We might just take a moment to bring it onto the screen so that everyone can see it, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
You can read it.
So 2 and 3 are replaced with, in particular, the information provided in relation to item 4 be
Part
collated. Sorry.
Part 4.
Yeah, part 4
Yep.
of the notice of motion. We're right.
Where's part 4?
I can't see that.
The original was
Be collated in a format that would be useful to the Scabbing Flat Bridge community and council to continue to advocate to Transport for New South Wales and other relevant bodies for the Scabbing Flat Bridge replacement as opportunities arise.
Not up to 2. So you're replacing 2 and 3.
Yes. Where's Sorry? Yeah. Yeah. Just I want to amend 2 and 3. I
Okay, Councillor Ivey, just to update, the intent of the amendment appears to be the opposite of the motion move, so it would become an alternative motion as opposed to an amendment.
Just clarifying.
So it appears that if we can clarify that the original one is indeed to not do the said ridge. How would you the one you're proposing is countermanding that, so to speak?
I don't think so. The motion there says that the council does not further develop the information required. Mine, I'm not saying, I'm just saying let's use the information we've got because I think it's very good. So I don't think it needs to be further developed at all. On the contrary, let's use what we've got, and that would be very useful.
Looks like we're seeking some clarity, Councillor Ivey. Okay, no, thanks for that clarity, Councillor Ivey. So we'll just continue to work with that then.
Does that match what your intent is? Yep.
Yes, okay. So it's not, just to be clear, it's not that he's saying to,
Get further
yeah,
information. It's just
to further, it's not further information as such, it's
what we've already got.
just collating what we already have in order to make it a more digestible form for the public residents.
More useful.
Yeah.
Can I speak to it, or just say a couple of?
Yes, let's good point. Okay, thank you, Councillor. I would just find a seconder first before you, but I do want you to speak to it. Councillor Kelly will second it. So yes, if Councillor Ivey, do you want to speak to that amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look,
Yeah.
as I say, I think the staff and staff, or Mr. Ryan, or whoever wrote it, has done themselves a bit of a disservice in saying that, look, this information here really to be useful, we've got to do a whole lot more study. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that look, it's AI generated largely, but it contains some very useful information. It's a very good. It's more than back of the envelope, but it's a very useful preliminary study that could be used in a whole host of fashions in future to further push for the agitate towards the replacement of that Scabbing Flat Bridge. And I think it's there's a lot of good information in there. Let's just put it in a format that people can then, as you say, digest and take up and use as they can, because I think it does provide a very good fundamental first base justification for a replacement bridge sometime in the future.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Ivey. I have to agree. It certainly was an excellent report. Councillor Toynton, I think, and then Councillor Wright. Okay, Councillor Toynton.
Thank you,
please.
Mr. Chair. Just touching on Councillor Ivey's point there, is there a particular reason why a AI was used for this report?
To the General Manager.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Infrastructure.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. The reason why AI was used in this particular case was, as you could see in the report, like to develop this to I guess to a format that would be a business case that Treasury would accept is that $150,000. So we don't have that $150,000. So the next best thing I thought we could use is AI to generate the information that's in this report, and that's why that was used. It was basically a cost issue because it is unfunded at this point in time.
Thank you. And another question, Councillor Toynett?
Yep. So just further to that, so if we had spent $150,000 on that report, am I right in assuming that that would not have changed Transport for New South Wales' mind in any way, shape or form?
To the General Manager.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Infrastructure.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. A speculative question, I guess, and trying to answer on behalf of someone else. This would form part of developing a business case, no doubt, because it's understanding what requirements are needed in terms of transportation, and that certainly gets considered at the design stage. For example, Rawsonville's been designed to accommodate B doubles, Waru Bridge, which is another one, another truss bridge that's been replaced, had been designed for B triples. So understanding what the local road environment and needs are for particularly agricultural purposes would be considered in a more fuller report, which is what I would expect Transport would need to further develop this in terms of the project path.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Councillor Toynton, was that any further to add? Or
No, nothing further. That's clarified my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, thank you, Councillor Toynton. And Councillor Wright, you were next.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Look, I don't necessarily disagree with that, the point 2 that Councillor Ivey has brought in there, but I probably do disagree with the fact that we've removed point 4. You know, this report addresses a previous resolution of council from June 2024 with 5 points in there to be addressed in this particular report. And the comment that we've removed, so I can see that in that particular notice of motion, items 1, 2, 3 and 5 have been addressed in this particular report. Item 4 has not. And that previous notice of motion in there made reference to the fact that further work not be done on point 4 because that's the sort of work that would be done in the form of a business case for replacement of bridge. But and that's what that point 2 previously suggested, that council will not further develop the information required under part 4 of the notice of motion. So it's addressed that particular point that has not been contained in this report as part of the notice of motion, but that's fine. And we still continue to have that information to hand for community to be able to utilise and for council to utilise. But by pushing ahead with it, I guess it's almost sort of ignoring the fact that point 4 of the notice of motion that this report addresses just hasn't been looked at. Am I reading that incorrectly? So point 4 in the notice of motion reads, the need for a replacement bridge. So the CEO prepare an initial assessment of feasibility of a new bridge. The initial assessment could include, but not necessarily limited to, the need for a replacement bridge capable of conveying B double trucks. This needs to be demonstrated and supported by a relevant statistic, including the value of agricultural production and the cost of the community of not having a reliable transport corridor. And the notice of motion stated that, the notice we're looking at now states that council not further develop the information required under part 4, noting that such investigation should be undertaken as part of a replacement project. Am I reading that differently to everybody else?
Actually, Councillor Ivey, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Councillor Wright, I think you are misinterpreting it in that I take a lot of the information in there, in the report to council, does actually address the thing. It does address relevant statistics, including the value of agricultural production in the area, the transport requirement, the cost to the community of not having a reliable transport corridor. The actual information in the report goes through and goes so far as to doing a benefit cost analysis exactly of that. So I think that the information in the report, my interpretation is that it did address and as probably the mover of the motion, I was quite happy with the information there that did address part 4.
Councillor Wright?
So further question of clarification then. Part 4, we're referring to a report that may have been prepared by an engineer, but in this case being completed using that AI tool. Is that correct?
Councillor Ivey, would you like to respond to that?
So just a question of Councillor Wright, what's the reference to an engineer?
Sorry. So we're talking about using an AI tool to come up with some solutions here. But at point 4, when it's talking about the need for replacement bridge capable of, we're talking about an expert opinion or an engineer's opinion, or bringing in further experts to deal with point 4, which would come at a cost. Is that what we're referring to here?
That
Thank
would
you,
be
Councillor Ivey.
So that, as I understand it, that would be the further information that would be required to further press the case. But I'm saying that that really at this stage, the information that's in there does answer or address point 4, and there's enough information in there when it's collated there to really provide the bare bones of a support case towards the replacement of the bridge, which was the intention of the original motion, notice of motion, wasn't to do a $150,000 study. It was to do a preliminary study to see what sort of facts and figures are available, and do they support such a need for the replacement of the bridge. And I think in that report that we've got before us now, there is enough information to support that, and therefore satisfy part 4.
Councillor Wright, any further questions?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. Yep.
And thank you, Councillor Ivey, for your clarification of the amendment. All right. So, councillors, yes, Councillor Mayor Black. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Look, I'm happy to support the amendment. I was speaking to Michelle Tompkins yesterday, I think. She rang up, said that so we know that there's a review of the bridges to be retained under the Timber Trust Bridge Conservation Strategy is happening at the moment. And I've had a discussion or two with the Minister's office and said, like, can you hurry up? This was supposed to be done by the 30th of June, completed, but the Great Western Highway has pushed everything back. And that's now, apparently, according to the Scabbing Flat Bridge Association, they've had word from Transport New South Wales that that's going to be open for community consultation in late September. So that's when we'll get a chance, all the community will get a chance. And I'm very confident that the result of that review of the Timber Trust Bridge Conservation Strategy will be that Scabbing Flat Bridge is not one of the 13 Dare Trust bridges to be retained in the state. And I think the community will get to have a say. They never got to have a say previously when that strategy was reviewed. So that'll be the opportunity there now. So, like I said, I'm very confident that that will be the outcome of the review of that, which should be completed sometime before Christmas, I'd hope. And look, it's a lovely old timber bridge that needs to be replaced with a dual lane concrete bridge. Simple as that. And I think most people are in agreement on that I've spoken to in this space. And we just need Transport to open up the community consultation, let the community have their say, let council have their say, let all the other stakeholders have their say, get the review done, and make the finding that there's other Dare Trust bridges. There's 12 other ones in the state that one of those surely could be retained, and I think that will be the finding of this. But it's all of the actions of everyone involved so far that's got us to this point of the Transport for New South Wales doing that review, and now it's just we're waiting for them to open it up for community consultation. It doesn't sit with the Western Region Director, is my understanding, but anyway, we'll get that out of the road, and more than happy to support this amendment, and hopefully Transport can speed up that process somewhat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Black. Any further debate or comments, councillors? There being none, governance, can we put the amendment to the vote, please? Councillors, cast your votes.
Just a reminder to go for
Even for amendment? No, that's carried unanimously. Now, I'd just like to go back to the original mover of the motion. Councillor Chowdhury, do you have any further comment?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So now that there's no further comment, do we need to vote again for the original motion? Yep, that's what I understood. Yep. So we're going to vote again. So governance, if you would please open for the voting on the original motion. which includes the amendment now. Is that right? The amended motion. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. The amended motion. No, that was on the amendment. Now this is the amendment motion. So it's become the original motion. Yep. So the amendment was voted as then that became the motion, and that we've voted on now. So thank you, Councillor Chowdhury, and it's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Okay, let's moving further. 1.5, closure of Infrastructure, Planning and Environment Committee. As there are no further items, I declare the Infrastructure, Planning and Environment Committee closed, the time being 6:05 p.m. Thank you. And I would like to invite the next, which I believe is Councillor Wells, for the next one. And just briefly wanted to recognise and thank the Boree people in the gallery for coming tonight. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I now open the August 2026 Culture and Community Committee meeting, at the time being 6:07 p.m. Does 2.2, item 2.2 is the conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? As there are none, do we vote? We don't. I'll move on. (2.3) The Culture and Community Committee matters considered by committees. 2.4.1 is the Macquarie Regional Library Strategic Plan. The next item, as I said, do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business papers? Councillor Cowley, and seconded by Councillor, Lucas Butler. Sorry. Councillor Cowley, would you like to speak to your?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions, comments, or debate? Councillor. Yep.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I would like to ask a question to the relevant director. If we have a look at the report and we look at page 15, it talks about, can I say, is a good report. I enjoyed the report and very, impressed with our library services. And just as a quick shout out, I had to order a particularly unusual book, the book on economics by Thomas Sowell, and they were able to get it for me. I think the library seems to be quite an amazing service, and it serves our community very well. So just wanted to give that little shout out to the library and the librarians and all those who serve us in this way. And just a personal, for me, I was very impressed at their service of what they were able to get for me. And in times past where I've asked for unusual books, they've generally been able to source them, which has been great. However, I did want to just make a quick comment on the way through, after thanking the library and all their staff for the amazing work that they do. In page 15, it talks about part of the report supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And whilst I guess that's a noble thing, my personal thing is I would like to see that removed from the document. The reason I would like to see it removed is because I don't believe it adds anything to the library and their great work that they're doing. So, for instance, if I could ask a question, for instance, to the relevant director, how does our library supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals actually lead to the alleviation of poverty and zero hunger? If I could ask the relevant director, please.
To the General Manager.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Community Culture and Places.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Through you, Madam Chair. Oh, well, I think it's quite a deep question. I think it's one that probably requires further deliberation. I think it's an admirable goal to adhere to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I believe it is something that is connected to the state libraries of New South Wales as well. So there may be a connection there. I'll have to confirm that with the libraries manager. But I think generally the goals set out by the United Nations Charter seek to achieve those matters, and the library seeks to make a contribution as small as it may be towards doing that.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Yes. Thank you, Director Arms. Yes. Okay. So that's what I thought. There would appear to be no direct link between the library service and the ability to alleviate world poverty and hunger. Also, life below water, for instance. And there's a number of things there that I would consider irrelevant to the purpose of the library and therefore unnecessary to be included in the library. I mean, if they wanted to highlight specific goals, I noticed quality education was one of them, and that would definitely be in the remit. Perhaps even something like affordable clean energy if they had solar panels on the roof. But I think, sustainable cities and communities, maybe there's a few things in there, but I don't know, peace, justice, maybe there's a few, but my concern is that this is unnecessary and a little bit more like virtue signalling. And my concern is these reports need to remain relevant and precise in regards to what they're addressing and what they hope to achieve. I don't believe if I asked any of the librarians in Coonabarabran or any of the other narrow-mine areas like that, that if they had a policy for alleviating world hunger, if they could show it to me. It's a bit like in the previous operational report of the budget, they made reference to rising sea levels. And, this to me, it's... if I'm a member of the public reading this, I'm looking at this and I'm going, these people are a bit out of touch. So is there, this is a question, I guess, to the General Manager, Madam Chair, is there a possibility we could either modify or remove this last virtue signal to the United Nations? Thank you.
To the General Manager.
Thank you, Chair. I guess looking at all the things that the library does, there'll be certain goals amongst those 17 that they'll focus on more considerably than others, but the role of a library is very much about education. It's providing knowledge and understanding and learning, and all of those goals are some way brought to life through books or learning that the library actually delivers. If you are wanting that particular aspect of the strategic plan to be removed, I suggest an amendment be made to the motion that allows you to see whether there's support from the councillors for that removal. Would be the way to do it.
Yes, thank you. No, I think I'll just mention it in passing at this point, but I just would like to encourage the writers of reports to keep to the program as opposed to shall we say, spread themselves so thin that it becomes irrelevant. Okay, thank you for your time, Madam Chair. Back to you.
Thank you. Are there any further? Yep. Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could I just refer to Councillor Butler's comments there? If he reads the next sentence in that publication, it answers exactly the issue that he's talking about. The library focus on sustainability, equity and community well-being directly contributes to this global vision for a more inclusive and sustainable future. That is exactly what the library does. It involves the whole community to try to make it a better community, which is consistent with the United Nations goals. So, QED.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'll just
Councillor-
have one
Sorry,
last.
Councillor
Thank you,
Cowley
Madam
had
Chair.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Councillor Cowley had a hand up first.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay.
I'm the mover of the motion, so I might save it until we close debate.
Thank you, Councillor Cowley. Councillor Butler.
Yes. I thank the good Councillor Ivey for his comments. Yes, I
Point of
see
order.
that.
Is this a question? Because you've already spoken to the motion.
So
Madam Chair?
it's committees, and we can do questions, and there's no limit.
Madam Chair.
Please go ahead, Councillor
Oh,
Butler.
okay, sure. Yeah, no, thank you, Councillor Ivey. That's a very good observation, and I appreciate you pulling that up. I still love the opinion that it's a bit too broad brush for I'd like to see a bit more. It's one of those things that if you spread yourself too thin, you don't achieve the goals that you're after to the depth that you might like. You're better off to focus on a few that you can actually address rather than just basically, as I said, just a virtue signal. I don't think it's relevant. Thanks.
Are there any further? Yep, Councillor Ryan.
Yeah, look, look, my personal opinion, guys, I think maybe reading into it a bit too much. I think it's just stating that this is what the library is in support of doing, supporting those goals. It doesn't mean that they're going to have a plan for every single goal. It just means that they're in support of the goals. I'm happy with the way they are, but yeah, I do understand what Councillor Butler's saying, and I take on board what Councillor Ivey said. You know, it does say that right at the bottom line. So I just think maybe we might be, getting a little bit too far looking into it.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Are there any further debate questions? Councillor Black.
Oh, look, thank you. I'm amazed at the work that the library does and the staff and all of the really good promotions that the staff put on. And when you go there for some sort of promo event or whatever, just having a look at all the new resources, and there's so many things. It's not just encyclopedias and newspapers. It's absolutely incredible. All of the bits and pieces, including all the school holiday activities, author talks, and even a science kit that people can borrow for their kids, sort of aimed at the 0 to 5 or 6 age group that they can take home and build things with. So the staff do an amazing job, and it's a very under-resourced area, public libraries. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Are there any further comments or debate? I'll have one comment for myself. I agree with Councillor Black. The libraries, I thought, were a dying thing, and since the last 6 months watching the reports and how frequently they're used, I'm impressed and amazed with how the 3 libraries are functioning. So well done to them. To Councillor Cowley as right a reply.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It pains me that we're having this discussion. Our library is one of the most, as Councillor Black said, underutilised resources that we have. And if anybody has spent any considerable amount of time there, you will see the beauty of our diverse community and its glorious multiculturalism and all sorts of races, creeds, ages, all demographics gathering there. It's a direct reflection of that, and I think that Councillor Butler talking about quality education and out of touch in the same sentence, I would suggest Physician Hill myself. Education comes from diversity. Mark Twain once said that travel is the mortal enemy of bigotry, and I think the same could be said of books and the resources that we have at the libraries. So I think this goes to the global community that we live in. It's an acknowledgement of the fact that we do live in that global community, and just because we live in Coonabarabran or Narromine doesn't mean that we can't be conscious of a global community or a part of that global community through the resources available through our libraries. And if that means connecting with the United Nations and its pursuits, then I think we should be proud of the fact that we can do that and we do that. And at the risk of borrowing from the castle, it's about the vibe of the thing.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Could I have governance open the voting, please? And I'll declare that carried unanimously. Moving on to 2.4.2, the next item is, do I have a councillor for the Macquarie Regional Library operational report? Councillor Cowley, thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Cowley, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, indeed, Madam Chair, I would. Again, our library and all the different programs there. Shameless plug, next week I'll be conducting a conversation with a couple of authors that are visiting. Incredible gentlemen, quite quirky, come along, love a rent a crowd. But apart from my very small part in that, the diversity of activities at the library is quite remarkable. And does again prove the value of the library, our libraries around the region, to the overall education of our good burghers.
Are there any further comments, questions or debate? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I just wanted to clarify that indeed I am very impressed with the library and their services, and any other previous comments weren't in any way to detract from the library or what it's doing, so I hope that's right. I'm just concerned about Councillor Cowley's use of the word bigotry, and I hope that wasn't directed at myself. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Are there any further comments, debate or questions? As there are none, could I have governance open the voting, please? I'll declare that carried unanimously. As there are no further items, I declare the Culture and Community Committee closed, the time being 6:23 p.m. I now invite Councillor Richardson to come and do the Corporate Services Committee. Thank you.
I now open the August 2026 Corporate Services Committee meeting, the time being 6:24 p.m. Item 3.2. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? And being none, we'll move on. Item 3.3. Matters considered by committees. No. Okay. Item 3.4.1, Corporate Website Redevelopment Survey Results. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business paper? Councillor Toynton, seconded by Councillor Wells. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further debate on this motion? Councillor Cowley?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just very quickly, through you to perhaps the relevant director, I know this is the corporate website redevelopment survey, so obviously it's going to be conducted online. But do we have a capacity to seek feedback other than electronically?
Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Director Director of Strategy, Partnerships and Engagement. Sorry.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, we did. So there were quite a number of variety of how we opened that up in regards to online and also physical, but I'll also pass to Digital Services Partner to give more detail if you'd like.
Through you, Madam Chair. So in terms of our opportunities, they were diverse. So we did want to obviously target the people who are accessing the website online, but also people who had never, because obviously that feedback is also valuable from a first-time user. So we had 4 face-to-face opportunities at council facilities, both at the Customer Experience Centres, Dubbo and Wellington, and the Dubbo and Wellington Macquarie Regional Library. We also had a number of pop-ups where we were out in community and able to get some feedback, including the most recent being at Arana Mall Shopping Centre, where we had quite a lot of feedback in the last couple of days. So we did want to access as many voices and opinions as we could, even though it was a digital platform.
Any further debate? Councillor Black?
Thank you. One thing I'd just like to point out, the DRC&Me, Council's DRC&Me platform contains a lot of really good information, and it's an excellent way to navigate through all sorts of bits and pieces. But the one probably bit of a drawback is that you have to be logged in, have a login and remember it and actually log in. Sometimes I think people might want to report things that they see, such as like the Snap Send Solve app, where they don't have to log in. They can just take a photo and send it. And I think we probably need to consider at some stage something on the council portal where people can just take a photo and upload without having to have a login. Put your phone number or email address or whatever, and staff will probably work out if it's a frivolous complaint or not. But if it's a pothole or whatever, something where people can just do it really quickly without having to do an actual login. That's just my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Wells?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just listening to the discussion or the information a moment ago, I'm really curious to get some insight to the time when they were at the Arana Mall. Like, what was the uptake like and the engagement?
Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Ms. Haig.
And through you to Ashley, so who has all of the information about it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in terms of the feedback, especially at Arana Mall, so we did have a great opportunity. We had some donuts available for people to approach us. We do love to give back at the same time that we are asking community to give to us. So a lot of the conversations were primarily around the usability. So we had some feedback on the search bar. So we did ask people to search some different things and see if they could find the results they were looking for. Overall, how they rated the experience. We did have a tablet, so it didn't give the full desktop experience. So that may have been a difference from face-to-face than potentially from our kiosks where we have the desktop version. But most feedback was around they didn't want something that was largely dynamic or over the top. They wanted something that would give them the information that they needed relatively easily, which is why a lot of the feedback from that day even was around the search function, the multiple menus being something that they found a little bit challenging or they'd prefer was condensed. And so that's kind of informed as well from that face-to-face.
Councillor Ryan.
I'll just say that, congratulations to the guys, because even though it was a digital thing, it goes to show that council really does care, and they've made an opportunity for people to come and do it in person and actually, go through the search bars with the guys. So, what I'm reading in the report is people just want it to be nice and simple. So when they're being shown at that level and not just logging on by themselves and having to try and navigate, that's awesome. So, and like any survey, if people really want to do the survey and whatnot, they'll do it. And if they don't, and there's something they don't agree with later on, they'll whinge about it. But, in this case, I think council's put ample of amount of effort into making sure that everyone's given that opportunity. So, yeah, well done.
Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I'll go back to Councillor Toynton. Would you like a right of reply?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Could governance please open the voting? And I declare the motion passed unanimously. Item 3.4.2, Central Arana Drought Resilience Plan. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business papers? Councillor Ivey, seconded Councillor Cowley. Councillor Ivey, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, a great report. There's lots of very useful information in there, and it's well presented. It's well presented. Just one comment. I don't know, but I didn't actually see a date on the report. I'm a great believer, and on the front page of a report, the date should be there that it's published or printed, but it didn't seem to have a date in there. But apart from that, and certainly until yesterday, anyway, it's very, very relevant because the drought did seem to be marching towards us, but obviously a bit of rain yesterday and perhaps even tomorrow has hopefully put that back. But again, if it's not now, it's going to be sometime in the future, and so the report is really very good. There was lots of good information in there and some interesting things that some producers and members of the community could dwell on. But one thing I was when I was standing back and sort of thinking about it, where we are pretty well placed in this region now is that we are increasingly having diversification. And so both in terms of within agriculture, within the types of crops we grow and how we grow them, but also just within the community. And I noticed that within the Wellington workshop that they had back in August last year about the drought resistance and resilience, two of the speakers there, Simon Barton and Tony Inder, are good examples of people who have diversified very well in the last couple of years, well, last 5 years really, perhaps even longer. And I think that having them speak and having the community become aware of some of the diversification opportunities really bodes well for the future. So I think it's a great report.
Thank you. Any further debate or questions? Councillor Wells?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just out of curiosity, why have we only looked at if we've gone outside of our LGA and Narramone's included, and why not other LGAs?
Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Director of Strategy, Partnerships and Engagement.
Through you, Madam Chair. How it worked is that the federal and state government divided up all the areas, and then we were given an allocation and when we would do that. So they put us together with Narromine, and we did that as a consortium, and all the other areas are going through various stages of when they are doing their drought resilience as well.
Any further questions or debate on this motion? Councillor Ivey, would you like right of reply?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could governance open the voting, please? I'll declare the motion carried unanimously. Item 3.4.3, rescission of council policy petitions. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business papers? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded Councillor Butler. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Ivey, then Councillor Cowley.
Just a question. I'm a little bit confused. Are we abolishing the idea of petitions completely, or just the way in which the petition can proceed? I noticed there was a comment there that we were going to abolish them, but yet you could still do it through the website. But so just perhaps a little bit of explanation, or maybe I haven't read it completely or properly, but I didn't quite know what we're proposing in the light of the petitions.
Yep. Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Director of Organisational Performance.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, we're not abolishing petitions. This is the policy on receiving petitions, so we still receive petitions. The policy, we haven't had that many petitions since we've had the policy, so it was to guide the process of getting petitions as well. But since the policy was adopted, we do have other methods to engage with our community, so as well. So therefore, I guess some of the petitions we had received in the past may have been on something that could have or may not have been publicly exhibited like it would be now. So yes, we will still receive petitions. We will just receive them and we'll deal with them when we receive them.
Councillor Cowley.
Oh, thanks, Madam Chair. Councillor Ivey stole my question. Was a little along the same lines, just confirming for those playing along at home that we're not actually going to scrap petitions or the ability to petition council.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or debate? Councillor Black.
Thank you. Can I just ask a question to staff? So we rescind this policy, so what will then change in how members of the public can petition council, please?
Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the Director of Organisational Performance.
Nothing will change. So it will be just that we just don't have a policy that governs how we receive petitions.
Any further questions or debate? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I think my understanding of it is by removing of it, the policy currently states that if there's a petition with 25 signatures or more, then it becomes an agenda at the ordinary council meeting, or less than 25 signatures, it won't be placed on the ordinary meeting of agenda for ordinary meeting of council. So it's probably the main part of it that I interpret, that by removing the policy, it removes that directive that if it meets a certain criteria, then it automatically becomes an item on the agenda at the next ordinary council meeting.
Is that a comment or a question,
It's
Councillor
probably
Wright?
just a comment, probably a point of clarity, the way I read page 3 of the council policy on petitions.
Okay. Any further questions or debate? Councillor Butler.
I just a little clarity then too. So if this policy doesn't appear to do a great deal, what was the background? Why was there felt a need to bring the policy in the first place? So that's my question.
Yep. Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. We actually don't know. We did a lot of research into where this came from and when, but there's nothing on our records to suggest a call or reason for it being in the first place. As you can see, looking at the policy, it's basically an internal procedure rather than actually being a policy. So that's the only advice we could give.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else? Councillor Chowdhury, would you like right of reply?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could governance please open the voting? Thank you. And that motion's been passed unanimously. Item 3.4.4, investment under Section 625 of the Local Government Act, July 2026. Do I have a councillor to move the motion in the business papers, please? Councillor Ivey, seconded. Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question. I don't know whether the staff would be able to answer it, but we're holding, $361 million worth of investments, which last year we received about a bit less than 4.5% return, which is about the inflation rate, a little bit more than inflation. And so in terms of what that money is like to be spent on, roads, and for services, the inflation rate's probably a lot higher. So in that sense, we're sort of going backwards in terms of the real value of our investments. And I just wondered, how does the level of our investments compare with other similar councils that might have the same sort of gross budget? You know, we've got $220 million budget and we're holding $361 million worth of investments that, as I say, in real terms are probably going backwards. Is it an issue?
Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Director of Organisational Performance.
Through you, Madam Chair. To answer the first question, no, we haven't reviewed ourselves against other relevant councils with the same portfolio. The general budget is developed based on general fund, water fund and sewer fund, or receiving their funds. And yes, we balance up the budget using those funds. There's no real allocation of those investment funds. We do the investment budget calculation based on what the prediction is to spend. So we are sort of potentially holding capital and not investing it into 12 to 2 year investments based on what we're planning on spending. So we do, if we don't spend it, it's only a difference between our general cash portfolio compared to an investment account, which is generally around that 1%. And I can't remember the next question, but yeah, I can add into the next report that comparison of what our similar councils or similar council with portfolios, what exactly is their investment rate compared to what we are getting. But generally, we try to keep minimal cash in our portfolio account and invest it into term deposits.
Councillor Ivey?
Just a follow-up comment. It wasn't
Jim?
so much the comparable rate that they might be, just the level of funds which they're holding. You know, we're holding $360 million. How does that compare with comparable councils?
Through the GM.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, we'll try and make sure we update the next report, try and do some analysis of competitor set.
Any further questions or debate on this motion? No? Okay. Will governance please open the voting? Sorry, Councillor Kelly, could you vote, please? I'll now close the voting and declare the motion passed unanimously. Item 4, there are no confidential matters presented at this meeting. There are no further items for consideration of the Corporate Services Committee, and I declare the meeting closed, the time being 6:43 p.m. Thank you for attending.